Okay, so hello and welcome to yet another Gaming Masters video. So today we're going to be having another episode of our gaming review series, and today is going to be a gaming review for Battleborn. This is the first person shooter created by the studio that was most well known for the Borderlands franchise, and is also published by 2K Games. Now, I've played this on a variety of different platforms. I played it during the beta. I've played it during the full release, obviously, and I think I've played it enough to have a fairly well-known and final kind of like understanding of what I think of the game. So I'm going to be providing you with that review right now. Now, from my experience so far, I've had a fairly mixed opinion depending on the platform that I have played it on. The PC platform seems to have been a lot more enjoyable for the title, personally. The console version of the game, so Xbox One and PS4, even though it was enjoyable, it wasn't as fun and it didn't make me want to come back again and again and again and again, which is a real shame. However, that is the way that I personally felt about the game, and that is the way that I have followed the kind of like game. So I wanted to give it a fair review by playing it on a platform that I felt that I enjoyed it the most on, because obviously some people enjoy it on console more than over on PC, and vice versa. So that's just the basic summary now. This is a live commentary, as I mentioned earlier on. So this recording is like fresh as well. So this is taking a little while to get into a game at the moment, but we're almost in the game right now. And the art style, personally, I would say is fairly unique. It's an art style that you can't really turn down as such, mainly because of the even though it gives it that kind of comic booky kind of like feel, as you'll see in a few moments, or if you saw our first look video, it in some ways it's slightly annoying that so many games have gone for this art style, primarily because of the way that, as so many people have gone for this art style, with the kind of like arty, kind of like comic booky kind of like look, it's got a bit too much for that art style, in my opinion, because there's obviously Dirty Bomb, Overwatch, Battleborn, Team Fortress 2, Loadout, etc., all with the same kind of art style, and I can find having the same kind of like art style so much, like so common as such, sometimes slightly annoying in some aspects, but I have enjoyed the game personally. So we're almost in the game now. Here we go. And yeah, so the opening sequence is 10 minutes of a kind of like cut scene, as you'll see in our first look video, which is a kind of like it's a kind of like anime like introduction to the game, which is really interesting. And yeah, I've not had any server connection issues or any issues really at all with the game. The way that the game has been polished seems to be fairly well done, and I can't really find any major complaints for it. As I said, it's fast, it's fun, it's action-packed, and the characters are unique as well. So there are 25 heroes in a game at this moment in time, which adds enough variety because they all have their kind of like unique skills and abilities and things like that, which is a very it adds a bit more variety to a game which, if it didn't have those heroes and abilities and stuff like that, could become in some ways a bit stale. Now I believe we've captured this point. Yes, we have. So let's move over to the next one. So yeah, as I said, also part of my problem with like the way that it's been kind of like put together is that it partially reminds me of Evolve, and I really don't want it to remind me of Evolve, because Evolve it was really good fun for the first few weeks or so, and then the player base just died. I don't want that to happen with Battleborn at all, and I am slightly worried that that might happen, simply because sometimes the characters that you're playing as can become slightly too, not well forewarned as such, but the way that it's all been put together and things like that, the characters can get boring. And even though there's a lot of variety, there's 25 characters, they all have different upgrades and stuff, it could still get boring fairly quickly, because there isn't necessarily as much customization as games like Call of Duty and CSGO, etc., which tend to keep the player base alive. There isn't that variety customization. The customization is having different players and different characters running around the map. However, I have had an enjoyable time playing this game. Now, the way that I have written a review is that the character progression can be confusing at some point as well, because the way that the character progression works is you have your standard XP level up, which is just your standard, like, oh, you're level 2, you're level 54 kind of thing. And then each game you have another individual level up as well, and that will be for perks. You'll have up to 10 perks that you can have activated per game, and they vary per character if you've changed your character as well. So they add a little bit of variety, which is nice. However, it can be confusing at times as well, because you've got to quickly read all of the options, because when you do it, you don't actually stop playing the game. As you can see from the screen, you have all of these perks available. You've got to unlock these perks, read what they do, select them, and make sure that you don't die at the same time, which can be hard at some points. I did recommend in my review that if there was the ability to preset perks similar to other games, that would be very useful. But that is just personal preference. However, this kind of like level up system seems to work fairly well in the campaign version of the game. I've not experienced any issues with it. I think the main reason why it doesn't particularly work in multiplayer that well with the kind of perk system is because different people, especially in a competitive version, different people have different skill gaps, and people can level up quicker or level up slower. If somebody goes AFK or joins partway through a match, they're going to be at a huge disadvantage in comparison to the other players. That is something that can cause problems from my experience so far. But I've overall enjoyed the way that they have put the game together. So nades on nades, let's go for that one. Just see what that's like. Now, I'm not sure how this recording is turning out right now. I'm recording it with OBS while playing as well. I'm recording the commentary, so it may possibly be lagging a little bit, because it is saying that the encoding is struggling a little bit. However, I can confirm that I've not had a single issue with lag or disconnects or kind of like server issues that people have had with other multiplayer games at launch. So I haven't had anything that would provide a bad impression about this game at all, to be honest. I mean, I'm just reading through the rest of our review. The console ports could obviously be improved. Now, that's a personal preference, and some people will prefer it on console, some people will prefer it on PC. I'm glad I've tried it on both systems, and I've been able to get a fairly fair judgment of both versions of the game, and the player base seems to be mainly orientated towards the PC platform as far as I can tell, mainly because that with a lot of games at the moment they seem to be going into the competitive scene, and competitive games generally, unless it's Call of Duty, take place on PC. So it's had a fairly large support over on PC. However, I have noticed that people that might not necessarily have got a PC or might not be able to run it on their PC have been enjoying it on consoles, so that's a good thing. So, as I said, it's more of a personal preference kind of thing. The level up system seemed to be a confusing system at this moment in time because there are so many different ways to level up. However, I have enjoyed my overall playtime of it. The art style is fairly unique. There's nothing that is copy and paste as such. There are a few games around that have a slightly similar art style and slightly similar game mechanics. For example, Overwatch, which is out in about 2 weeks' time at the time of recording this video. So yeah, overall I gave it an 8.7 on our website review if you do want to read it. As I said, this has been a bit of a live commentary, so it's not been the most well scripted video. I've been going over the basics in this. If you do want to read the review, you can check it out. I gave it an 8.7 overall with an 8.2 for your value for money. It's a fairly enjoyable game, but it is lacking some content in places. It's enjoyable and it's fun, so I gave that a 9.2. The art style I gave a 8.9. I would have given it a bit higher. The primary reason behind me giving the art style an 8.9 is because a lot of games have been going for a similar art style, and it would be nice to see something a little bit different, but I do understand this is the kind of way that Gearbox have always made their games, like Battleborn and with Borderlands and stuff like that. So I do understand that. And then the variety with the characters as well, I have given an 8.7. I was really impressed with the variety of characters with the different perks and level ups. It's just a shame that I could possibly see because there is not that much customization, it could possibly result in some player base issues like we had with Evolve last year. However, overall I'm fairly impressed with the game. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, follow, and of course, as always, subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And we shall see you in the next video, which will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. GMT.